For quite some time now, there have been things floating around there and allegations towards Neil Gaiman. At first, it started with just two people. This was several months ago. Essentially coming out and say, hey, they had these sexual experiences with Neil Gaiman. They felt like they were forced to do it. Some of them even described it as rape. And like it was just really skeezy and pretty disgusting, the things that he was wanting them to do. All of this stuff, he paid them to go away, things like this. Well, in the aftermath of that, it certainly sounded like there was a lot more that was ready to come out at some point. And you saw Disney cancel a movie that they had done with him, or that they were going to do with him. Breaking, Disney canceled the Graveyard Book movie as Neil Gaiman allegations compound. There were other projects in the work. And Neil Gaiman, obviously, very well respected as a storyteller. Of course, Sandman, probably one of the things I know him the most for, but certainly has been prolific with a lot of other stories. It's gotten significantly worse because yesterday a big story broke. Neil Gaiman allegations. Multiple women accused Sandman author of sexual assault. And this is going to get fairly graphic. This was the New York Magazine cover story speaking about their experiences. And we'll read it from Fandom Pulse, the update here. I've got this AI picture with him in a bathtub.
That's such a weird picture.
Now, this is because of the nature of the story itself, okay?
Okay.
Neil Gaiman abuse victim Scarlett Pavlovich speaks out with graphic details of Sandman creator's violent perversions. Are you defying your master? New York Magazine released a deep dive into the Neil Gaiman sexual misconduct allegations with interviews with several women involved. The allegations have escalated with detailed accounts of where the women involved accused the Sandman, an American Gods author, of rape. In 2004, Neil Gaiman was accused of sexual conduct by 7 women. The first 2 starting with the Tortoise podcast, an investigative journalism outlet known for the tortoise and hare fable. Leaning towards slow and steady wins the race. They're well known for doing deep dives and gathering all information before reporting. Now, New York Magazine has done a deep analysis of the situation, speaking with several women involved, providing detailed accounts of what's now grown to 8 women accusing Neil Gaiman of a range of creepy behavior to rape, providing an account of his childhood surrounded by the cult of Scientology, as well as how these escapades led to divorce with Amanda Palmer, his wife at the time, who is involved in some of these things, even getting prey for him in a way. Sounds really fucked up. While many know about the encounter with Scarlett Pavlovich, in which Neil Gaiman infamously declared they merely cuddled in a bathtub, Scarlett's account of the situation is far more harrowing and graphic, according to a new article. I will say this, with what we're about to read, it is, I mean, it's a little, he's into some stuff, all right? But it'd be more embarrassing if you just went in a bathtub and cuddled with someone that did all these things, in my opinion, all right? More embarrassing for him. Content warning. I've had a thought, Scarlett recalled him saying, why don't you have a bath in the beautiful claw bathtub in the garden? It's absolutely enchanting. Now, this person was the babysitter. Okay, that's why she was there. She was the babysitter for the time for Neil Gaiman's child. After this, the situation gets dark. Pavlovich did not anticipate Gaiman would show up in the bath, claiming he had a work call to go on, but he allegedly did, flashing her stark naked. So essentially, she's saying that he was going to leave and go to work. He said, hey, there's a cool bathtub out there. Why don't you use the bathtub? Okay, he shows up. Flashing her stark naked before getting in the tub with her. She claims she says no to this, even to this element, but he persisted. The next part is really amorphous, Pavlovich told the interview, but I can tell you that he put his fingers straight into my ass and tried to put his penis in my ass. And I said, no. Then he tried to rub his penis between my breasts, and I said no as well. Then he asked me if he could come on my face, and I said no, but he did anyway. He said, call me master, and I'll come, he said. Be a good girl. You're a good little girl.
Get out of the tub!
Yes.
Just get out!
Get away. And then continue to be the babysitter for this person. And this is what I mean by, I think that Neil Gaiman is a creepy pervert. I think he's a guy who's in a position of power that wants to use that. He's fucking rich, all this stuff. There has to be a line where you fucking leave and go away. Right? And even if this does happen to you, you don't fucking go back. You don't continue to be the babysitter for these people. You also don't take money to be quiet about everything that happened to you. So I think you can have criticisms for the way that some of these people have dealt with these things, and at the same time, still think that Neil Gaiman is a male feminist, creepy fucking freak, right? Afterward, she recalled him saying, Amanda told me I couldn't have you, Pavlicich recalls him saying. As soon as he'd heard this, he knew he had to have her. God, he continued, I wish it were the good old days when we could both fuck you. The situation gets worse at points when Scarlet describes Gaiman as beating her with a belt, forcing sex upon her in several situations, even an incident where she was forced to taste her feces. He said, are you defying your master? She told the interview, I had to lick my own shit. Had to lick my own shit. This is not the only encounter like this. At one point, she said he urinated on his hand and told her to lick it off, showing how debased Gaiman is. According to Scarlett, so Scarlett went to the wife, right? Went to the wife to talk about this. Apparently, it was normal. Amanda Palmer said 14 women have come to me about this. He had allegedly slept with another babysitter in his prior marriage as well. Some of these events were done, according to Scarlett, when Gaiman's young son was in the room with them. Palmer allegedly told her, I'd had to do this before and I can do it again. I will take care of you. She filed a police report, hoping that the wife would help win the situation. But when it came to it, Palmer refused to talk to the police. Palmer is the wife. Palmer does have a song that seems to reference Gaiman's behavior, however, as some of the lyrics. After Scarlett details, the account details the known accounts of Neil Gaiman taking advantage of young fans. One went by the pseudonym of Brenda. He seemed to have a script. He wanted me to call him Master immediately. Another fan story is well known as Gaiman told her, I'm a very wealthy man and I'm used to getting what I want. Gaiman paid this fan over $60,000 for therapy bills after her accounts with him left her scarred. This is a quote from him in 2003. I'm now 62 and I'm still convinced there will be a knock on the door tomorrow and somebody will explain to me I have to stop what I'm doing and go away to get a real job and I'll do it quietly. Another young fan who started following Gaiman when she was 18 in 2003 found herself in increasingly demanding situations with the author. It was a big, hard no, she said. I told him, you cannot put anything in my vagina or I will die. Gaiman then allegedly flipped her over and attempted to penetrate her with his fingers. Once more, the women claim she said no, but after he stopped, he then allegedly went on with full intercourse. I just shut down, she said, of this situation. This goes over and over and over again. The next, and Neil Gaiman has responded and said, hey, people can be into kinks. People can be into stuff like this as long as it's consensual. And they're saying it was all consensual. The next incident detailed in this is where Gaiman's wife, Amanda Palmer, slept with a young female fan. So this is how weird and fucked up this is, right? The wife sleeps with a young female fan and then begins texting illicit images of the fan to Gaiman. It spawned a relationship between the author and the fan where the fan said she felt like she'd been given to Gaiman as a toy. The next came Caroline, a woman who lived on the Gaiman estate in New York, who had been detailed prior as being forced to provide sexual services to Gaiman in exchange for her not losing her home with her children. She alleges he even had a sexual encounter with her when his 4-year-old son was in bed with them. He didn't have boundaries, she said. There's more to this, but you guys can kind of get the idea.
This is full-blown Epstein and Maxwell shit. Dude, that is just absolutely vile, bro. That is crazy. There's some grooming done on the wife's part, and she is totally like funneling in women for him to abuse. Like she is into it too. She's just as bad. This is gnarly, dude.
Yeah, and I think that I'll say once again, this to some people in that know some people and stuff, this is coming as no surprise. They've heard fucking rumors and whispers about it for a long time. Kind of the same thing you heard when all the Epstein stuff came out. In the same way as Epstein, I think we can look at this and be like, oh, what a fucked up guy, blah, blah. He can absolutely be a fucked up guy. I also think that there has to be some acknowledgement that even if like awful things were done to some of these women that's not right, that you also have to have a little bit of onus and understand like, okay, I'm an 18-year-old, I'm a 19-year-old, I'm a 20-year-old, and I'm a fan of Neil Gaiman. And all of a sudden, we become friends, and he invites me back to his place. Not saying that, oh, you deserve for this to happen. But you also have to have some fucking common sense. 60-year-old Neil Gaiman isn't there for your enlightened conversation. He wants to fuck you, right? And maybe you're you don't want to say anything, or you want this because you want to continue to stay close to him, you want to continue to keep this job, whatever. In the same way with the Harvey Weinstein stuff, I think a lot of those women knew exactly what they were trading with Harvey Weinstein. Doesn't mean he's not fucked up. Doesn't mean he's not a terrible person. Same thing with Neil Gaiman. But I also do think you have to put some like understanding that I feel like maybe these women should have understood what was going on. Doesn't mean anything that happened to them was right or deserved, or they deserve this to happen. But you also have to look back and say, did you really handle that the right way? And it is what it is, man. It's fucking, it's wild. Neil Gaiman, he's a male feminist, and he's about to be canceled by all the people he considered allies, right? As this male feminist, as someone who is, talking about it's okay for them to race swap my character. It's just bigots that get mad about these. All this guy that's pushing all this fucking left-wing bullshit. He's part of the club. He's about to become not part of the club and be canceled by the very same people that once held him up as the male feminist standard. But he seems like a fucking freak. He seems like a freak.
He's absolutely a freak. Absolutely. This is like a combination of some Epstein and some Harvey Weinstein bullshit, doing freaky fucking shit to potential talent in his work. It is absolutely gnarly, dude.
This is the story of Neil Gaiman. Apparently this is how it ends. And like I said, for people that I've heard that shit's coming down on Neil Gaiman in a big way for a long time from a lot of people. But you don't know. You just hear whispers, you hear rumors, whatever. Well, this is it. We kind of knew this coming for months. Now this big expose does not look good for him. These allegations from multiple people. He had a fetish for them calling him master. That's one of the things we find out throughout the cases of all these different women. But man, oh man, the star burns brightly and it burns out quick in Hollywood, apparently.
Jeez Louise, man. That's crazy.
I had to lick my own feces.
I had to do it.
Yeah, I had to do it. And like I said, I've certainly never been in a position where somebody's raped me or anything, right? So I don't really know how that feels. And I'm sure it's going to feel different for a woman or whatever. But if I'm the babysitter, I'm babysitting Neil Gaiman. One, him suggesting that I go take a bath out in this garden, I'm not going to do that in general. Whatever, I'm going to leave the house. You can take a bath. Okay. Probably not going to. A little weird. But who knows? You get in there. He fucking comes in there. He takes advantage of you, does all these things. You probably feel overwhelmed in the moment. You might not know what to do. After that, I'm not babysitting for you anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not working.
Yes.
That's how I feel about some of these things. But certainly people can exert power, influence, money, a lot of things to keep you around, I suppose. But there just has to be some acknowledgement of some of these things. And I'm not trying to blame the women involved, but you just have to say, you go back and look, you should have handled these things differently. If you'd not gone back to babysit or being employed by Neil Gaiman and maybe just gone and told somebody, or even if you don't tell anybody, just go the fuck away. If you had done that when he first did that to you in the bathtub, then maybe you wouldn't have had to lick your own feces, right? I don't know.